So we're back on our sermon series. Story time. All right. This has got echo. Can we please turn off the voice effects? All right. Let's talk about last week. So can anyone tell me the parable we covered last week? It's kind of a rougher one. All right, let's make an easier question. I had boxes out here. What 5 words did I spell out? That's 1. Importance, faith, length, effort. That's 5. Good job, everyone. Give yourself a round of applause. You paid attention. Woo, that makes me feel good. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get into this week's parable, story time. So we're going to go ahead and get into this. Pull out your paper, your digital, your messenger pigeon Bibles, and let's turn to Mark 4:30 through 34. I'll wait, I'll count. 15, 14, 13. Listen, I started at 15. I don't know how fast you're counting. I'm just messing with you. Anyways, so let's get into this. This parable is the parable of the mustard seed. You don't see that. All right, so let's get right into this. Mark 4:30 through 34. Again, he said, "What shall we say the kingdom of God is like? Or what parable shall we use to describe it? It is like a mustard seed, which is the smallest seed you plant in the ground. Yet when planted, it grows and becomes the largest of all garden plants, with such big branches that the birds of the air can perch in its shade." With many similar parables, Jesus spoke the word to them, as much as they could understand. He did not say anything to them without using a parable. But when he was alone with his disciples, he explained everything. How would you like to be in that inner circle of Jesus' friend group, right? That you had everything explained to you. That like he's telling you a parable and you're just staring at him because you don't understand it. And then finally he's like, all right, you don't get it, obviously. And you bring him over and he tells you everything. How would you like that Jesus told you everything? Yeah? Please, I need interaction, please. I like the shuz. All right. So, like, how much do you bet, like, all of Jesus' like inner disciples, like, what was it, Peter, Simon? Is Simon? Or was Peter? Is Simon? Simon, Peter, James, John. They were his 3, like, inner circle. How many jokes, like, inside jokes, or how many, like, secret things that only they knew about each other do you think they had? You know, I love inside jokes. I love to be a part of one someday. All right, that didn't land. Anyways, that's a reference. Does anyone get the reference? Office. Thank you. I just looked sad for a second. I'm not sad. It was a reference. It was a joke. It was a joke. I have plenty of inside jokes. Shut up. Come on. All right. Anyways, so I grabbed a couple extra since this is like in the very like second part, it says he just went off like and told more parables, but he doesn't say what parables. So we're actually going to jump over into another chapter, well, another complete book of the Bible, Luke 13, 18 through 19. You guys are going to get double helpings today of the word of Jesus. Are you guys happy about that? Awesome. I like that. Okay, 13. Let's see if I can count. Yes, okay. So we're going to go ahead and get into this, 18 through 19. Then Jesus asked, by the way, this is the same parable, just like different translation, because, you know, Matthew, Mark, Luke are like pretty much parallel. John's a little bit different, but pretty much parallel. So let's read this again, but in a different perspective. Then Jesus asked, "What is the kingdom of God like? What shall I compare it to? It is like a mustard seed which a man took and planted in his garden. It grew and became a tree, and the birds of the air perched in its branches." So once again, even though different perspective, same story, he talks about the mustard seed and how it grows. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever seen a mustard seed, let alone a mustard tree, but I went to Walmart today just to get a little perspective. I got some mustard seeds. Now, Who wants some mustard seeds? That's a lot more than I thought would actually raise their hands. All right, come up. Let's pour some mustard seeds out. I gotta be really careful because it's just a hole in the top.
Okay. Thank you.
By the way, if you eat these, they do have a flavor. It's an aftertaste though. I don't know if you'll like it. I don't like mustard, so. Yo, I like everything else but mustard. Oh, I gave you a lot. You think I can count out okay.
Just pour some. Did you take these from your mom's cabinet?
No, I bought them. They're like $3. Anyways, hold on, let me pull one out for my. Got it. I only dropped like 8. That's okay. That's like -2 cents. All right. So, I also have a chart that I put in there. Look at this. So this is a mustard seed. Do you guys know? It's a trick. Look at this. Do you know how big a mustard tree gets? Can we put that up, the chart? Look at this. That speck is a mustard seed. That is the average height of a person, 6 feet. These things get up to 30 feet with one seed. You're looking at this. I put it right here. I put it on the edge. Can you see it? Boom. Do you see how tiny? Okay. This is what he puts the kingdom of God to. He says, this is what the kingdom of God's like. Okay, drop that one. He's like, this is what the kingdom of God's like. But just like the kingdom of God, it grows like a mustard tree and it gets branches. This thing gets 30 feet tall at max height and 30 feet wide. Jimmy was saying it basically sounds like a cube, but it's like a circle. It's a tree. It's a bush, but it's a tree. It's a bush. It's just a really big bush. But so let's go ahead, and something that Luke has that Mark doesn't is that it doesn't just say that he went off and told more parables. Luke actually tells you another parable that Jesus uses. So let's get in this, all right? You with me? Oh, that was... Okay, thank you. All right, so we're going to keep on going in Luke. Now we're going 20 through 21. Again, he asked, what shall I compare the kingdom of God to? It is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into a large amount of flour until it is all worked through the dough. Now, this isn't the same version as I read earlier. So, in another translation of the Bible, it says, it is like a woman that takes some yeast and works it through 60 pounds of flour in dough. That's a lot of dough. 60 pounds, all right? So this is, once again, another huge thing. So I did the math. It took me a lot of math, a lot of looking up things, of how much yeast it would take to effectively use in that dough. And I was looking at it, I did a lot of math, cups to pounds to ounces to all these things. And I did a lot of math. I was gonna bring up a whiteboard and everything, but I figured you wouldn't be interested in that. It's a lot of math. I'm not a math major. But anyways, I did it with the help of Google and a bunch of other calculators. Hey, Tayshawn, can you look at me here? Thank you very much. Kara, you too, please. Thank you. All right, so right here, I did the math. It says here that it would take 0.8 pounds of yeast. That's pretty small. That's lighter than a shoe, lighter than an average shoe. Like take your shoe in your hand if you feel so free, and feel it, not throw it, feel it. That is a little bit more than the weight of how much yeast it would take to raise 60 pounds of dough. Once again, Jesus uses this parable, and he uses it as a comparison. We take it here that, he talks about the kingdom of God. He likens it to the kingdom of God, and he says that it grows from this very small thing. That's how the kingdom of God started. It started as Jesus and 12 of his friends, and that was the beginning of Christianity, which is now we don't have numbers really, but over 25% of the world, I'm pretty sure. Don't count me on that, but it's a lot of people. And that grew from a simple, measly 13 people. I mean, one of them was God, but 13 people. Thank you, that was funny. All right, but I like it when you laugh. It makes me happy. I'm a kind of reaction guy. Thanks, Christian. All right, so let's take it here. Just like it takes one small group of men to make a change that is so radical that we're gathering today here in a building every week and Sunday, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays maybe if you're like the extra special cool kids. Yeah, youth worship practice, JLP, SLP, all that stuff. And that all started from 13 people and one leading them. Well, 12 people and one leading them. So let's take it in the same way. You guys remember in the last parable, we talked about more seeds, and we talked about the length, importance, faithfulness, and effort. And I think this can kind of go parallel with these a little bit, that we talk about it takes a little thing. Do you guys remember me telling you about this? It was the effort. It takes a small bit of effort that, like I said, I gave you like a whole like story to like think up and like use. It was like you came into church and you see someone sitting on the couch and you just say, hey, why don't we play 9 Square? Or hey, what's your name? My name's Paul. Yeah, Paul. I'm looking at you, Paul. But anyways, it's like taking this small bit of effort and you plant it in the ground and you have faith and you know its importance, that despite the effort you gave and you like put it down, that you know that it'll spring forth life. And that was, the big spelling. I think this can find a parallel. And actually, we actually go into a little more. Me and Pastor Kelly had a big study session Monday. And we looked at all the different usings of yeast and seeds and trees and all these things. And did you know that actually in the Bible, they used to use yeast as a symbol of sin? And that's not how Jesus is using it necessarily here, as we're interpreting, but it is also used as a form of sin. Like you put yeast in bread and it spreads and it grows and it puffs it up. And that's a lot like how sin reacts in our life. We have a little bit of sin. We just tell a little lie. Have you guys read that book, The Little White Lie? And it grows and it grows and it grows and becomes this huge monster. I think that is also something we can use here, is though we spread good seeds like the mustard seed, we plant that, and it's a good seed. We have good acts, good actions, good faith, good compliments, just like raising someone's spirits up. And then we can also be like the yeast, how the Bible interprets it as sin, that we put a little bit of yeast into someone's dough, and then they begin to like spread and like puff it up, and it kind of irritates them. And then there's something between us now. And then you come over here and you put a little more yeast over here just because you're not feeling it. And then it spreads and it puffs up and there's something here now. But this is a big question, and this is like what I want you guys to take the big takeaway, is are you spreading good seeds or are you spreading yeast? Are you spreading sin? Are you spreading anger? Are you spreading all these bad emotions that cause irritation between you and a friend, you and just someone that you walk by in church, and someone that you just, maybe even play 9 Square with? I don't know, examples. But are you spreading good seeds and letting good mustard trees grow? And letting, the example gave birds perching. It was a majestic picture of this good action created coverage for more, that they could seek shelter in it, that it was a good home. Or are you going to spread yeast and give yeast infections? I'm kidding. We're going to get off that. So anyways, let's go ahead. We're going to end this a little bit. I want you to look to your neighbor real quick. Both neighbors, turn your eyes both ways if you can do that. Ask them, are you spreading good seeds or are you spreading yeast?